everyone. I hope your semester has started off strong. I know we're only a week or so into it, but I know y'all are doing amazing. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about the dreaded hours, right, for 764. Um, I know it's challenging to get the hours in. I do. It is a state requirement. Unfortunately, it doesn't come from us. And we also know that sometimes districts are not so accommodating, let's just say. But we do need to make sure that y'all are getting those 30 hours in the classroom. Remember, it's 40 hours total, but 30 hours in the classroom, and 10 will come from watching those videos that I have not shared with y'all yet. Okay, so let me go back to the syllabus. I know your placements are starting to come through. So I get an email from Live Text when your placements are confirmed, and it tells me your name, your CT's name, the school where you're placed, and the grade. Sometimes there's a specific grade level. It might say seventh grade or ninth grade, or sometimes it'll just say, Francis Marion High School or whatever. So I keep track of those. Again, I know the semester just started. Please be patient with Mrs. Kaysen. She is working nonstop to make everyone's placements happen. And if you ever meet her, just tell her thank you for all that she does. But anyway, so your placements are starting to come in. So you're going to want to refresh your memories with what's in the syllabus about the hours, the requirements, all of those kind of things. Okay, remember, make sure hopefully your placement request is already in. If it's not, you need to make sure to do that. Chop, chop, choppity chop, and your SLED check, TB test, all that stuff. Okay, so make sure you're getting everything in that needs to be submitted. Remember, Mrs. Kaysen will be the one to coordinate your placements. Okay, and again, 10 hours, 30 hours will be in class, 10 hours will be watching videos. I got on Atlas yesterday for the first time. I didn't have an account, and I'm not 100% positive if we're going to stick with Atlas for the videos, but don't worry, I will. If we don't, I have some other possibilities for us. But anyway, we'll come back to that. Okay, so again, 30 hours in the classroom, right? You want to make sure that you pay attention to this part in yellow and this part down here. Okay, so basically this whole section, hold on. All of this section from here, oh, look, I'm going to highlight it all for y'all just for a second. There, I'll sing tell too. I'm going to highlight it in green just for these purposes. Okay, so everything that's in green is in your syllabus, and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what is written here, because it could impact your grade. It could impact if you have to take the class again, all of those things that none of us want to have to deal with. All right, so make sure you are familiar with these couple of paragraphs. So that's really what I got on here to talk about. Did I have anything else to say? I think that was really it, but just making sure, as soon as you get your placement, oh, I do know what I want to say. As soon as you get your placement, you want to make contact with the CT. You want to start setting up a schedule. You're going to have to work out the schedule with your school, your district, your whoever. Hopefully you will be in at least the same district, but you will need to work that schedule out, and you want to start on that sooner rather than later. Okay. So the whole reason I got on here was because I had a question the other day, and I wanted to address this with all of you. So I know in 746, when you took that, most of you, I think almost all of you took that this past fall, 2021, and I know there were some guidelines of observation, 5 hours, meeting with the CT, 5 hours, assessing, planning, and teaching a 1-week unit, 15 hours. So the person asked, are the guidelines for the hours similar for this practicum? So in this practicum, you can kind of use your time as you see fit. Okay, it's a little more flexible is not the right word, but it's not really as set in stone as the guidelines from 746. You are certainly welcome to break up your hours in this way, except remember, your hours must total 30 hours, whereas up here it only totals 25. Okay, so you're certainly welcome to, spend your first week or two observing. You're certainly welcome to have some meetings with the CT, or if they're team meetings, team, TEAM, I feel like it just sounded like I said the word T. If there are team meetings or grade level meetings or something like that. And then you also want to, ideally you want to spend the majority of your time assessing, planning, teaching, stuff like that. So you can kind of break up the hours how your CT wants, really. So you really want to work closely with your CT. This placement, math it's a little more challenging to find placements so you all can work with students who are identified with math disabilities or learning disabilities in math. Okay, like this, there are many more students identified with reading disabilities than math disabilities. Luckily, this semester our class is pretty small. There are only, I think, 15 of you, so which is good. Last semester, it was either last spring or the spring before, I had like 43 students in 764. That's a lot of placements to find, right? So that's kind of where the not writing lesson plans, not teaching a full unit, that's where that came from. We had 2, 3 students in the same classroom, and it's sometimes the math teachers don't necessarily want to give up control of, fractions or something that they've had years to learn how to teach the content. They might not feel comfortable, allowing you to be the main ones responsible for the content, if that makes sense. And it's nothing against, you all as Francis Marion students. It's just, teachers are worried about their test scores and they're worried about this and they're worried about that. And I 100% understand it, right? So don't go to your CT and say, I have to teach a 1-week unit in math. No, you don't. That's why I've made some changes to this practicum. I really want it to be what will be the most beneficial for both you, for all of you, the CT, you, and the students. Okay, so sometimes it's hard, especially to go in the spring semester into a math placement, and maybe you're not comfortable teaching geometry to the level that it needs to be taught. So I have to tell y'all, I'm currently taking a geometry class here at Francis Marion. There's a long story why, it doesn't matter, but I'm in a class and I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching it to fifth graders right now, right? So I see the point of the CT, if that makes sense. So just remember, your hours in the classroom must total 30 hours. You will not teach a 1-week unit for 764. You need to teach at least 5 lessons, but they don't have to be consecutive days. And you will need to work closely with your CT to develop your schedule. And remember, in the syllabus, I talked about, let me see if I can find where it is. Yeah, so it's really what you teach is the CT's choice, okay? And I know that's not always the case for the reading practicum, but it is for this math curriculum. I just kind of combined some words there. Again, it's more challenging for you all to go in and say, oh, I have to teach a week-long unit about chapter 7 from my math textbook or something like that, because maybe that's not where the students are. If you've spent any time in a math classroom, especially a special ed, right? Math classroom, and I kind of use that in quotes, but the students are everywhere, right? They're all over. So I really want you to work with your CT, talk to your CT, and figure out the 5 lessons you will teach. So your CT can have you teach a new lesson from the curriculum, whatever curriculum is used in that school, in that district. Maybe they say, hey, I want you to teach this particular 5-day chapter or this 5-day unit. Great, absolutely. Or maybe they want you to take a small group and start focusing on, let's say, geometry. So you could say, oh, okay, I have a chapter about that in my textbook. So, ask your CT, would you be okay if I just kind of started at lesson 1 and worked my way through geometry, something like that, which kind of goes in with the scripted lesson. So it's really up to them as to what they want you to teach. Okay, so you don't have to write lesson plans, you don't have to video yourselves, but you need to work closely with your CT so that you are not wasting their time, right? You don't want to waste the CT's time, you don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste your students' time. So I try to be a little more flexible and open-ended in 764 as opposed to 746. I know some people don't like that, but I'm trying to make it as kind of user-friendly for everybody involved as possible, okay? So again, be familiar, familiarize yourself with the directions in the syllabus. They are in green just on this screen, but in the real syllabus, they're not. There's parts of it are in yellow, but just really start where it says field-based placement. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. And again, if you want to kind of think about breaking your hours up in this way, that is fine. But again, remember, you do need 30 hours, not just a 25. You will not teach a 1-week unit. You'll need to teach at least 5 lessons. They don't have to be consecutive days, and you will work closely with your CT to develop your schedule. All right, hopefully that answers. I know tends to be a lot of questions about the hours and everything for 764, but use those guidelines if you want, or again, if you have other ideas, that's fine as well. But make sure you're paying attention, especially to this paragraph and this paragraph. Okay, so make sure you are again familiar with the syllabus and about the hour requirements. Okay, hour, H-O-U-R, not hour, O-U-R. Feel like my words are not clear today. All right, but that's about it for now. I was going to open the application assignment, but I'm going to go ahead and wait for just a little bit about that. I want you to start getting into your placement first, figuring out where you're going to be, thinking about all that before you worry about that first assignment. It's not super time consuming, I promise you, and it's not due until, this is going to be completely off center, but hold on. So the application assignment is not due until February 10th. So we have plenty of time. Again, I want you to spend, this week, next week, really working with your CT, figuring out how you're going to take your hours, how you're going to get your hours in, excuse me, at your placement, and how that is going to work, keeping in mind the directives in the syllabus. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. Again, familiarize yourself with this page of the syllabus, and then if you want to use the guidelines from 746, I don't have this posted anywhere, but if you want to use those guidelines as a starting point, that would be fine. But again, remember these points down here. All right, I think that is about it for now. Have a great start to your semester, and I will be back soon.